I'm Sandra. Join me on ST Smart Parenting, a series where we bring together experts to answer your burning questions on education and parenting. They will also give you expert advice on how to help your child thrive in school and life. For more of such content, go check out our new website.
One of the great things about reading is it can actually help us develop our empathy. And there's a ton of research that supports, especially reading fiction, will help you understand because you're being exposed to the inner lives of characters and the way they think about things and their responses to things, it actually helps you understand that better and helps you understand yourself. So fiction's really useful for that, or sort of more narrative styles, even if they are not fictionalized, so more like a personal recount, for example, me telling you a story about something that happened to me. That's a great way to start thinking about emotions. Something that's really fun to do is to take one style of article, so let's say the front page news item for the day, which is probably going to be more factual, and rewrite it or retell it. Maybe you don't want to commit to writing, but you can do it orally as well, which counts, from the perspective of an individual, for example. So let's say the original article is about a car accident, and it's just kind of giving you facts, what happened, how many people were involved, where it happened. You might get some statistics on the number of accidents in this place per year, and so on. But then you imagine that you're the driver that's in the accident. So then the story starts a little differently. So it says, I was late for my meeting and it was a wet morning. So you're going to be using more emotive language. You're going to be thinking. It's not a dry news article now. It's from the perspective of another person. So this idea of perspective taking, which teenagers are by their nature, because of their cognitive development, they can be a little bit self-centered. So that can help them see things from different perspectives and to develop their empathy as well. In terms of vocabulary development, as a start, there's something called the Matthew effect. So it's the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So the idea is that if you don't read, the amount of vocabulary that you are exposed to is significantly less than if you do. So we're talking about maybe being exposed to 60,000 words in a year versus 1 million, right? So there's two kinds of vocabulary. So we have our passive vocabulary, and that's the vocabulary that we recognize. But then there's the active vocabulary, and that's the vocabulary that we use, and that's a smaller set of vocabulary items because we just can't hold all these things in our head. So, there are a lot of things you can do if you want. If there are words in the paper that are new to you, make it a little game. Today we're each going to try to use this new word that we learned 10 times in a context, and it'll be fun. Yes, you could have them do it in writing, and you could make a little vocabulary journal. Teenagers definitely don't need more homework to do. They've got plenty of homework to do. So I think any element of play or fun or turning it into a game will make that more engaging and feel a little bit less threatening. Try to weave it into a sentence at the dinner table. It's a funny way of making, having a good time with it. And now suddenly you have lots of cheem vocabulary that nobody understands, so you're speaking your own language, And then of course the newspaper's great because you have lots of different topics, so lots of different sort of vocabulary sets will be in there. So if you're talking about something sciencey, so right now we're all thinking about COVID, so if there's an article about COVID, there's going to be sort of science vocabulary. If it's an article about traffic, there's going to be vocabulary around that. If it's an article about conservation, there's going to be nature vocabulary. So in terms of range of topic, that's going to really widen the amount of vocabulary you're exposed to. Yeah. And again, short, chunkable, easy to read. And it doesn't feel as overwhelming as picking up a whole book. So I can sit down, I can read this. It's going to take 10 minutes and, I did my reading for today. So something that I think you don't want to underestimate are visual text or graphic images, because a lot of the information that we are exposed to is visual. And often we think that reading should be just words, but there are sections in the paper like comics, it takes visual decoding skills, and that's an important skill. And then there are also really powerful graphic novels that will teach students all kinds of skills. So there's a book, one of my favorites is The Arrival by Sean Tan, and it's a really sophisticated depiction of what it's like to be in a foreign place, to not fit in, to be exposed to things that are unfamiliar to you, and it's represented in a way that probably couldn't be represented in words. So it's a wonderful way to complement our understanding and to develop those skills. Don't be afraid of graphic novels, of images as a source of information as well.
Comic books are good too.